All right, let's jump right in. Today's explainer feels a bit like a high-stakes psychological thriller, right? But it's actually something way more common. We're stepping into what our source material calls the dark room of customer experience. Meet our protagonist, Sarah. She is sitting right where so many of us have sat, bathed in that cold glow of a laptop, feeling completely isolated and trapped in a deeply frustrating narrative. She has done everything right on her end, but as we're going to see, she has been left completely in the dark. So let's set the stage here. 2 weeks ago, Sarah gathered up a stack of incredibly important documents and sent them off to a company she urgently needs to work with. And since then, nothing. 2 weeks of relentless anxiety. Just absolute silence. She basically sent her information into what feels like a black hole, and the company has offered zero clues as to what actually happened next. The suspense starts building immediately. Her internal clock is ticking, and her mind just starts racing with these worst-case scenarios. First, the most basic, terrifying fear sets in. Has my document not arrived? I mean, did it get lost in the mail? Did the email bounce? Did the digital system crash literally the second she hit send? And then, the fear escalates. Is my file just forgotten? Is it just sitting on someone's desk, buried under a pile of coffee cups? In this story, the true antagonist isn't some malicious person at the company. No, the villain is the crushing weight of missing information. The silence itself is actively working against her peace of mind. And finally, she hits this psychological wall. It's the last internal hurdle before she just breaks. She thinks, if I call them, am I being a nuisance? Am I going to annoy the exact people who hold my fate in their hands? It is a terrible, highly vulnerable position for any customer to be in. But eventually, the anxiety wins out. She can't take the suspense anymore. She breaks down, picks up the phone, and calls the company. And what does she get after working up the courage to dial that number? She hits a brick wall. A polite, but entirely robotic and unhelpful response. The source material quotes this perfectly. "It is under review. As soon as there is news, we will inform you." It gives her absolutely nothing. No timeline, no specifics, just a verbal closed door. Which leads directly into a grueling cycle. Day 1, the first tentative call. 2 days later, the second, slightly more desperate call. 1 week later, a third call. Now, it is absolutely crucial to understand her motivation here. Sarah isn't just being impatient. She isn't trying to be a difficult customer. She simply has absolutely no other way to see the status of her file. The company's lack of a proper system is essentially forcing her into this repetitive, incredibly frustrating loop. Okay, let's dive into this, because right here is where the narrative pivots. The source material points out something really profound about this dynamic. This black hole of missing information, it is a structural failure on the part of the business, not a customer failure. When an organization doesn't provide visibility, they aren't just failing to communicate, they are actively manufacturing anxiety. The customer is just doing exactly what they have to do to survive the dark room. But thankfully, this thriller actually has a twist ending. Fast forward a few months later, and we experience a massive paradigm shift. The tone completely changes from tension to absolute relief. The company actually recognizes their structural failure and introduces a heroic intervention, a brand new customer system. The dark room is about to get a very bright spotlight turned on. This time, Sarah sends in her documents and, bam, almost instantly her phone buzzes. She looks down and reads a simple SMS that pops up. "Your file is registered." Just like that, the void has spoken back. The anxiety is neutralized before it even has a chance to begin. She knows immediately, for sure, that her important information has safely arrived in the right hands. Now, what's really interesting about this is exactly what happens next. That message invites her into a customer portal. She logs in and sees everything laid out clearly. Her exact file status. A list of her submitted documents so she knows exactly what made it through. Team messages. The latest updates. It grants her total, uncompromised visibility. The source even notes that if she suddenly needs to provide a new document, she doesn't have to wonder how to send it. She can just upload it right there on the spot. If we put these two realities side by side, the contrast is wild. On one hand, Sarah's old reality, endless, blind, anxiety-filled phone calls where she felt like a nuisance just for checking in. On the other, her serene, controlled new reality, instant, transparent digital updates. The emotional shift here is literally night and day. We've gone from a customer who is practically biting her nails off to one who can just breathe easy. The source material sums up this new customer experience perfectly. No calls, no waiting, No worries. It has such a powerful, calming rhythm to it, doesn't it? By removing the friction, the company has completely eliminated the painful hurdles that defined Sarah's journey just a few months prior. And this brilliantly illustrates a vital concept. For Sarah, this software isn't just a portal. She doesn't care about the back-end coding or the servers running it. For her, it is quite literally a sense of assurance. It's about trust. It's about the psychological safety of knowing that her life, her business, and her files are being handled competently and transparently. But let's flip the perspective for a second. What does this mean for the company's internal team? Well, for them, it's not just a software tool either. It is reclaimed time. Think about all those phone calls Sarah was making in that grueling cycle. Think about the staff having to stop their work, answer the phone, look up files, and give generic answers over and over. By avoiding those repetitive phone calls, the team regains control over their day. They finally have the uninterrupted time they actually need to do the important work, like, processing Sarah's file. So, when we connect all these dots from the source material, we learned on the ultimate business impact. Why does this transition to a portal matter for any organization? 3 massive reasons. 1. Increased trust. When the customer can see everything, their trust in you just skyrockets. 2. Simpler communication. You eliminate that endless, noisy back and forth. And 3. A professional image. A business that operates this smoothly simply looks incredibly professional, modern, and reliable from the outside. It all boils down to this fantastic final tagline from the text. Give customers visibility, give teams control. That is the ultimate resolution to our cinematic narrative today. You rescue the customer from the dark room by giving them a clear window to see through. And in doing so, you hand your own team the steering wheel back. It is a perfect win-win scenario. Which leads us to a final thought for you to take away from this explainer today. If your customers can't see their journey, how much trust are you losing in the dark? It's a pretty powerful realization. I really hope breaking down this source material shed some light on the true value of visibility for you. Thanks so much for letting me guide you through this, and I highly encourage you to keep exploring how you can illuminate your own systems and processes.